Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a pretty small agenda today. I could get a motion, or is there anything that we want to add to the agenda?
I don't have anything.
I'd like to talk about the Boys Club building. I don't know what's going on.
We'll add that to the,
What did you want to add?
the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay,
Yeah,
Well, if you're asking me to give your information, I'm probably not going to be.
well, I need, because I don't know anything what's going on.
We can have a discussion. So we'll just add it at the very end
Okay.
after recycling. Maybe Wes can give us an update. Okay, so we'll add that. If nothing else, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Fournier, supported by Commissioner LaHaye. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. First up is Cindy, Chief Deputy Treasurer.
I have the Northern Lights reimbursement request that was in your packet. They have a total of $8,625.58 in invoices that were paid, and they are requesting back $2,625.58. I did question on the invoice for Vanguard Fire and Security System, $125 inspection truck charge. I did not know if we normally pay that or not. It's $125.
Whose truck is it?
It's a company that comes up to do the inspections. That's their way of adding additional costs onto it.
Hmm.
Not Northern Lights, but
Yeah. Is,
the company Vanguard.
yeah, Vanguard.
Yeah. So when I was looking at it, I was just talking to Cindy about this earlier. You guys use Vanguard for the backflow preventers. Have you checked with, I know, what is it?
Lakeshore Plumbing used to do it, but there needs to be somebody specifically certified to do it. And they don't always have somebody on their payroll that is certified to do it all the time.
I got a friend that does that, and actually, I think he used to work for Lakeshore, went to the base, he's certified to do that for the base, and he's done that for Lakeshore. I think he's someone that they actually use to do the backflows.
Jason, I talked about.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just did the one in this building, it was leaking. He's working through the GDK.
okay. Yeah, that's what he does. He'll go, G and K used to work for Lakeshore as well. And then they went out, they spun off and did their own thing. And so he's got the license to do the backflows from the base. And so he does stuff for G and K. So I don't know, you could save probably some money. You're not gonna get the truck charge, I'm assuming, because he's not driving up from.
I think Vanguard, the truck charge, just because they're coming from Saginaw.
Well, that's what I mean. He lives on Long Lake. And he has whatever he works, I think he works 10-hour days, so I think his Friday's his day off, so in the future, if you coordinate with G and K, they could probably schedule him to come out and do it. And it would probably be cheaper.
Yeah, and Vanguard's not just coming just to do just the backflow. I guess it's labeled on there that way, but I mean, they're inspecting the entire inspecting and flushing the entire fire suppression system there. So that's the tough thing, is that the backflow is separate from the fire suppression system. The fire suppression system has to be inspected every year also. So it's two different tasks there. I mean, that's why in the past I did have Lakeshore do it quite frequently, but I was just getting charged from two different companies for two different services.
And you do that twice a year?
It might show up on our billing twice a year because of when he shows up or when Vanguard schedules you know, they usually try to do it in the early part of the year, but sometimes they would be coming in the late fall and early spring.
Okay. I guess as far as, well, I do have some other questions on these, but I don't know how you guys feel about the truck charge. I think it's probably something that is part of the service, so probably pay.
But if they don't have their own person to do it, why do we have to pay it?
But you have to be certified. Well, and if it's the fire suppression system, you can't do that. So,
But I mean, they're supposed to have a person with them to do that, right?
who?
But,
Vanguard?
yeah,
Well, like I said, that their truck charges because they're driving up, so they're gonna have wear and tear on their vehicles, fuel charges, whatever.
well, I understand that. It's a person don't come with them.
That is a,
Isn't it up to them to provide? He said it was up to them to provide, right?
yes, I'm confused.
I guess I am too.
It has to be inspected.
So Vanguard is a company that they use. Vanguard comes up here to do the inspection
Right.
for the sprinkler system. That-
Yeah, I understand that.
And then they add the cost of driving up with the truck. So it's just an additional charge.
Yeah, there are two, I guess they're looking at it as two, or it's the service plus
Well,
what it costs them to get here and go back.
so it's just another piece to that.
All right.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that one. The one that so the couple that I do have notes on was the security system for 3951. Who approved that? Because in the lease, it says 3.12 alterations. Got a couple things under this. So if there's an alteration, I guess, Wes,
It's not an alteration. It's just, I'm just replacing the cameras that are there that don't work.
okay, and then, so under appendix D, 2 quotes, because if it's between 1,500 and 5,000, we need 2 quotes.
Okay. Yeah, I just went ahead and did it. It's been out and we've had issues several times in the past couple of years that,
And one of the things, and I know I keep kind of beating on different things here. One of the things, because when I was in the treasurer's office this morning talking to Cindy, and actually last night when I was looking at this stuff, I forget what appendix it is. Remember what that, is it H? So appendix H basically lists all the items, inventory, if you will, stuff that is covered by the county for repairs or whatever that would be covered. So if the security system is approved, that needs to be listed on, put on to that list, appendix H. Anything that gets added, which is actually my next item too, was the ice blade leveling machine or whatever it is, which is not on appendix appendix H either. So we need to get those things added to the appendix. And I know, we'll just make sure that, the new county administrator takes care of this stuff, because he's not here, so. So I think if we could, I don't know, Lynn, if you could just make a note that, or I'll, who's got a piece of paper?
you see that was appendix.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it just lists all the stuff.
Yep.
So we can get that added, because otherwise, if all the invoices or receipts are going to the treasurer's office and Cindy's looking at the list and it doesn't show up on the list, she's not gonna pay it, right?
I'm not gonna pay anything until you approve it to begin with.
Yeah, look,
Yes.
you'd question it, so.
Yeah.
So we need to get that ice blade leveling, whatever it is, added to the appendix H along with the security system. So that was part of the I know we've talked about, and I remember when I was going through and I just couldn't find anything on it. So that security system has been on there, but it's just very old and not working.
Yeah, I think it's probably prior to 2008, that was, put in there.
Okay.
I believe the county actually, through the VPN, the county used to actually have access to it or whatever, but there's no longer a VPN there.
Okay. Well, the other item, like I said, is because you, and again, I don't know who else would do that. Could you get another quote?
I don't think there's anybody else in town that does it, so we just reached out to the local gentleman that does it here in town.
You already did it?
Yeah,
Oh, back in February, you paid it.
All right, well, think about that one. And then the ice blade leveling motor. Isn't that thing like just a year old?
yes, and I went round with them about it and they looked at it and I can kind of agree with them. It was a operator error that somebody was getting something wet that they didn't realize they were getting wet. They are gonna refurbish the motor that quit for us with no charge, so I will have still a backup on the shelf. But I was forced to purchase another one.
That motor costs $3,200.
Yes,
That's crazy. Need to get in the ice blade leveling motor business.
yes.
How big is that?
It's about the length of this post and it just has a motor on the top of it. I mean, it's driven off of or it has a computer brain to it or a separate thing. I mean, it's a pretty elaborate thing.
Okay. And then the other thing that I have is I see you had 2 alternators in 3 days.
What I had done there was, purchased one that, I needed it and then had them rebuild the one that I took off the machine so that I just had it there on the shelf.
Okay.
And going that route, I did it here locally through Alpina, electric or Alpina electric motor, but, did it here locally, had it rebuilt and spent less for 2 alternators to have than I would have if I would have gotten the part directly through Zamboni.
Well, you both of those invoices are from Alpena Electric.
Yes, Alpina Auto Electric.
So, oh yeah, Alpena Auto Electric. So one was 172 and one was 212.
Yep,
Which one was a new one?
the 212 was the new one and the 172 was the rebuild.
Because the dates, the 172 is dated 220 and the 212 is dated 223.
Yeah, I guess I'm not. They're handwritten, aren't they? Because I know the thing of it is, I didn't get the thing within a couple of days. I mean, I waited a week or two in order to get it back. So I don't know if there was a mix up in the receipts when he wrote them, but
Yeah, it's kind of even hard to even read this thing.
So the rebuilt one costs as much as the new one.
Not quite.
Yeah. Close.
Close.
Okay. And then the last note that I have here is, the AutoZone blue Zamboni inductive timing light.
yeah.
So to me, that would be if we're paying for it, that'd be if you will, a tool. And I would think that should go on the county's something to be tracked, if you will. Because I was just talking to, actually Lynn about tools for the parks. And we have a list, and so I think, again, that should be somewhere noted. I know it's only $52, but, you know, it's nice when people buy, you know, you get, and I'm not saying that you're gonna do this, but I feel like we buy tools and things for the parks, and then the managers leave, and then they're parting gifts.
Right.
So, I think we just need, you know, I would like to have that added to the list as well.
Okay.
And start building on the list. Then my last thing is, I know, let me just see what my note says. On appendix B, it says, my thing says not to exceed the $4,500 per year. So I know I bring this up and and it hasn't, nothing has changed with it, but it, was I talking to you about this? I was talking to, maybe it was Jennifer, but if the money that we get from the surcharge goes back into that surcharge fund, and then we're taking that money out to pay for the normal maintenance or whatever, at some point, Russ is gonna come to us and say, the HVAC unit or the roof or whatever is gone on that building. It's gonna be 25, 30,000, 50,000, whatever it's gonna be. In our surcharge fund, if you do the math, if we're taking in, and I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me, but if we're taking in on an annual basis, $8,000 to $10,000 for surcharge, but we're paying out $17,000 in maintenance costs, that's gonna go down. We're going down every year. And so,
Raise the surcharge.
well, I don't think we can do that at this point.
I don't think we already did once. To wait till budget time.
So my concern is that we gotta figure this out because, you know, I know I've mentioned this. Let me just go pull that thing up. I mentioned it before. Do you have your appendix? Does yours say not to exceed the 4,500? Well, I got it here, so you know. So appendix B.
Yeah, 2,000 shall be annually budgeted for fund expenses with annual expenses not to exceed 4,500.
Yeah. So, and I know you're probably saying, I keep bringing this up, but we haven't changed it. So either we need to change it or we need to stick to it. Because I know, I think it was last year, I think third and fourth quarter expenses were like roughly, I remember 16,000 for one. And I think 3,000 or 4,000 for another. So we gotta do something because either we need to stick to what the contract, what appendix B says, or we gotta do something. We gotta do something. I can't keep bringing this up and not, and I know I'm not blaming you. I said, I've told Mary Catherine this when she was here, you know, I think I was at the last meeting, probably in January. I don't know if Mary Catherine was there, but I know I brought it up again. I brought it up several times, so we need to figure that out. But I guess for today, depending on what you guys want to do with those other items, we should at least, we can approve this stuff for today.
Well, I'll just make a motion that
$1,625,
What's that?
$8,600.
Well, no, 'cause-
They're looking for approval for 2,625.58.
That's less than 6,000
Yeah.
that we spend up front. I mean, I guess, and you guys can choose to do, you know, whatever you want, that for sure, obviously. You know, this is in my eyes, a checks and balance thing. Which works out good for you guys to know what's going on in the building and, you know, I'm perfectly fine with the $4,500, limit. And I obviously understand that if comes down to, a hot water heater or well, maybe not even that, because I mean, I'm sure I can cover that, but if we get into a $50,000 rooftop unit,
We'll cover that.
it's a different, well, right now I could actually very easily, so.
Well, that's my
it is
concern.
Building too,
Yeah.
so it's tough to.
Well, I know, and that's my concern with, and I think I've talked to Brenda a lot about this is, over the years, and we keep saying this, we're not kicking the can, but we're coming up to that point where a new roof or an HVAC system is gonna go. And I don't even know what the surcharge fund has in it. I think the last time we looked,
The year-to-date balance rate, when I ran this report on the 8th, the year-to-date balance was $4,893.
the surcharge fund,
Surcharge for spectators, yeah.
was
That's
that
it?
the revenue that came in?
That's all that we've gotten in so far this year.
No, well,
No.
No, he's saying that overall, what's in the account, on the line item.
Oh, I do not.
okay, I think for some reason, like, I'm just gonna say 117.
It usually has historically hovered around the $100,000 mark, give or take.
So we can look, but, like I said, I know Bill just made a motion
Yeah.
to pay the 2,000,
625.58.
okay.
What's the total? I'm sorry.
Did
2,000.
you say, Bill?
$2,625.58. Is that what you want to prove? That's what's on this sheet here.
Okay,
Total reimbursement request.
Reimbursement. All right,
so we have a motion
support
and support. Let me
for
just
the
go.
2,625.58.
Yep. So any other questions or discussion on that? Roll call.
Hey, Bill LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
and Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. We'll figure out whether I put Jesse on that or we just need to figure out, because like I said, I keep saying the same thing with the 45. I know the contract appendix B says the 4,500, so
Mhm.
we'll have to get, whether we have a meeting, Jesse to set up a. We'll go from, all right,
That's good, thanks, Sean.
thanks.
I also need to ask for an increase for the building/additions and improvements line item, because the previous administrator budgeted $0 in that line item. So in order to pay this, we will need funds in there to pay this. So I recommend we put $6,000 in there.
Where are we gonna take that from?
You're gonna increase the line item because it was not
she budgeted no money.
budgeted in there.
Okay,
Cindy, what's that line item?
It is 272-763-975.000.
Thank you.
We're
Okay.
transferring 6,000.
Increasing that line item $6,000.
so. Does anybody want to make that motion? And,
I'll make the motion.
okay,
I'll second it.
motion by Commissioner Fournier, support by Commissioner LaHaye to increase that line item by $6,000. Any other discussion?
No more surprises.
Sorry.
If not,
Not your problem, not your fault.
we'll call.
Okay, Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Is that it, Cindy?
That's all for me, yes.
Okay, that's all for now, right?
Yes.
Do you have anything else, Jeremy?
I didn't know if you guys wanted to go over the rink update on.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
Yep.
So, we removed the ice on rink one, about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So we're down to the one sheet. And, we do have the circus coming in this summer. into the pond. That's an annual thing. That is actually the only off-ice event that we do have in there. There's actually some camps that are coming this summer that'll utilize that empty rink for off-ice stuff, or whatnot, but, then just looking through and kind of this will help some of your questions, John. Looking through from last year, 2022 and 23, our ice sales or our prime ice sales were, 1,192 hours. And in this past year, 24, we were at 1,588 hours, so an increase of around 400 hours there. And also we increased around a little over 200 hours in total skating activity between the 2 years. So we've increased pretty close to 700 hours over the last 2 years. And the good news is we are taking on another team this year, the Alpena 45ers, and they will be hosting 12 games here in town, which should increase our surcharge intake, which between the 2 years of 23 to 24, in 23, we were 8,000 or $7,861 that we put into the surcharge this past year.
Would you say 8,000?
Yeah, $7,861 we put in 23. In 24, we put in $8,058. And then the increase with this team, I project, and also we have a home high school season, which will be a lot bigger than last year. So we should be out over the 10,000 mark into the surcharge this coming season. So, increasing every year on that also. And the ice sales will increase also because there's that team will be purchasing around $17,000 in ice. The only other thing I guess I have on that, I know we updated you, or Jess had updated you guys on the women's locker room. We had a grant that we'd put out and we had gotten turned down for that. But we are actually moving forward with, it's not gonna have bathrooms, but we've taken another location in the building. Young's has donated, Jess went to them and reached out to get a price or a quote for carpet. They decided to donate it. And panel processing is gonna be either coming in today or tomorrow and giving us a quote to purchase lockers for that room. This will be the third set that the fourth set that they've built for us. And in the past, they've given them to us for a cost. So we are moving forward with trying to do something still with the women's locker room there. And it's coming together pretty good, being that there's gonna be, a great deal of donation there for that. I think that, kind of ties in also with, like you say, stuff about the roof or furnaces and stuff like that. Like me being there as long as I have and the relationships that we have, really helps our facility procure things like that and cut expense and cost on trying to grow the rink or, move forward with improvements on stuff like that. So we should have that done. I'm hoping in the next month or so, and definitely have it done before season starts so that we have a location that we can designate to just women.
And where is that in the facility?
So as you walk over to the office, you walk into the lobby, there's a hallway that ties the two buildings together. There's a room back in there that was it's always kind of been designated as a storage closet, then it got turned into an office. And it's slightly smaller than probably most of our locker rooms. But it's 16 by 16. So it's a pretty substantial size room. And Panel does a really nice job with building, freestanding lockers or whatever that go in their stalls. I guess they'll be similar to the other two rooms that are there.
Okay. Now, I know you had looked at a grant and it didn't go through. Is there something is that done, or can we look at a different grant possibly, or?
We're gonna apply for it again. We're also trying to reach out. We did it, we kind of got it at the last minute last year. So we tried to do the best that we could to, fulfill the expectation of it. But we're also gonna reach out to all of our user groups and see if we can get everybody to get a little skin in the game besides just us. So that when we reapply, I would like to be able to say that we have, $25,000 that we're gonna put towards it. And at that point, if I can get other user groups to buy in, I've already talked to some other outside sources that would be willing to match that money also. So we're trying to just build up a fund basically, and we'll keep applying for the grant. and hope-
I know some of those, you get points for every time you apply, and then the other piece of it is if you get donations, that also helps as well, so.
Yeah.
So is it gonna be the same exact grant that you applied for before? Now you just have more time to apply for it?
I think now that we have more time to apply for it, we had a drawing or a plan for it, but it was probably not as complete as they wanted. I think now that we have more time, we're able to think about exactly how it needs to be laid out and what we want it to look like and for utilization in the future or whatever. So I think it'll be a lot easier to convey what we're trying to do. And like you say, get matching funds or donations to,
When is that grant due?
was it in August? Cheers.
Yeah, it got last year to the end of September, it was due.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just bring back to this committee, where you sit with it.
Yep.
Just keep giving us updates on that. That'd be great.
Yep.
So,
And I think that, the reason that we chose to push forward with the locker room that we're doing now is we'll be able to utilize it or get revenue off of it in the future anyway. So it's money well spent.
okay.
Thank you guys for your time.
Good. Next up is
Airport.
Steve.
Good news only.
That's all I have. Bad news.
And you're allowed.
Right at the top, and the first piece of good news is employments. Last month, we surpassed the year before, so we're still heading upwards. And in July, we'll be getting employment because we won't have a closed runway. That's always important.
Yes.
And as far as fuel sales go, we've already surpassed what the FBO sold last year. And we've been selling fuel since December, and we've already gone past what they sold for a full year. We're anticipating a bump in 100 low lead sales because Oshkosh is going to be starting in a couple of weeks. So aircraft traffic through the area is going to be increasing. For some odd reason, a lot of pilots don't like to fly out over the ocean.
Just one question that I have for you, because, I want to see where you're coming from. You said we're trending upward. We're trending upward only this month for employments, because 3 months prior, all been down for prior for the months or the months equivalent to the prior years. So when you say we're trending upward for 1 month.
You gotta take the good news where you can.
Well, I just wanted, in case I was missing something.
Completely unscientific, when I go to work in the morning, the amount of cars that are in the parking lot is a good indication of what's happening.
Well, I think I remember going out to the base and then during COVID, it's like you see every week there were fewer and fewer cars until there was like one van in the parking lot on the front corner.
Had to tow that one.
Yeah. Okay, and then the other thing is I did notice the Sky West contract fuel was down 5,586 gallons. Is there a reason for that?
That all depends on what they do in Detroit. Right now, we're cheaper for fuel than Detroit is, so they'll put enough fuel on to get up to Alpena, and then they've been putting on between 800 and 1,000 gallons at a time. But for whatever reason, they stopped purchasing as much fuel at Alpena.
Last month.
Yes.
Yeah, because those are, February and March, you were at 15,500 gallons, and then April, we're at 9,938.
And weather plays a big deal with that as well, because if there's weather in between us and Detroit,
April was a beautiful weather.
Yeah.
For northern Michigan.
so they'll put on more fuel in Detroit just because there's weather in between the two stations. But if there's good weather, then they don't put on as much fuel. They just don't need as much because they're not getting headwinds and such. So good weather is bad for fuel sales. Not that I'm advocating for year-round winter, but
No. Okay.
then down to airport equipment, everything is operational. We don't have anything down.
Is this the time that you're doing a lot of maintenance on that stuff?
It is. I've been cutting grass. Wes knows.
Well, I don't know if that'll help, or did the base, Major Hilco didn't take over a lot of the areas that would impact you from last, correct? You just took over the areas that they would help with the maintenance on taxiways, runways, or whatever. So-
It's mostly.
Yeah, so no grass, they're not gonna be cutting any extra grass out there for you?
Fortunately. Only squeeze that stone so much.
Well, that's how I looked at it. It's like better for us that they take on the maintenance of those taxiways and stuff. Especially if they're gonna be able to come up with the money, so.
And just one of those little quartz bulbs for a taxiway edge light or a runway edge light, those are $3 a piece. So I'd rather cut grass and have to pay for quartz bulbs.
Yeah.
Now, something that I neglected to add was 8 was our annual FAA safety certification inspection. The inspector was on site for 2 straight days. And as Lynn can remember, they are into everything. And at the end of the inspection, at our out brief, he had no write-ups for the airport. So we passed the inspection with no write-ups. He had a couple of suggestions, but one of his suggestions was where the aircraft turns off of the taxiway onto the main runway, have a sign there that says, you have X number of thousand of feet for takeoff. But that's already in the NOTAMs, so it's all covered. A sign like that, I don't think we need to put $1,000 into a sign for one season's construction. And speaking of construction, on 5 April, that was when the south end of runway 1 was displaced and marked for construction. So now we have 6,200 feet instead of 9,001. But that's no problem because even the RJ 900s are fine with. Besides a lot of meetings and a lot of time on Zoom, 22 April, I sent they would ask me what MUSTA stands for. I used to know, but I don't know.
And
What does MUSTA stand for?
Sorry.
Michigan Underground Storage Tank.
This is the last part?
I can't tell you. I was on a roll, but sorry.
Well, you got the Michigan Underground Storage Tank part, right?
That information was sent to Lara, Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. What that does is that gives the county an insurance policy through the state of Michigan. So if there is a fuel spill or release, they'll cover $1 million worth of the cleanup, and we only put in $1,000. So that saves us quite a bit of money on our spill insurance. And on 29 April, I hosted a meeting of the emergency services and 911 coordinate the annual mass casualty drill. That's going to be conducted on 26 June out at the airport. Every year we have to exercise the emergency response and it has to involve an airliner. So this year here, we're practicing for an airliner having a hydraulic failure and ending up in Lake Winyah. So the fire dogs love that because they get to launch their boats. And we're continuing the planning for the Tunnel to Towers Airport run. What they're gonna do is they're gonna start off at the new terminal, and they're going to run up one of the taxiways towards the military ramp. Military is gonna see what they can do about having a couple of military aircraft out there just for the wow factor. Then they'll turn up taxiway Alpha, run down runway 19, back to the intersection of runway 725, and then back to the terminal.
Why?
Because people like to run.
Yeah, I'd rather drive.
Me too. I turned in my uniforms, I turned in my will to run. The current projects, FAA just got funded, so we're already advertising for the 2 plow trucks and the new blower. Suppose anything's come in yet to the commissioner's office.
I have not seen anything yet.
So that covers all the highlights.
Okay. One of the items I see on 22 April, new commercial operators agreement sent to Jeff Welch. Have you received that back?
No, Mr. Welch didn't want to sign it. So Travis Konarshewski was going to do a review of the documents. But I recommended that we contact Stefan Bagney. He's an aeronautical lawyer and he helped defend us against Mr. Van Duinen. And one of his primary things is to do review of documents such as leases and cooperative agreements for airports. We weren't able to put a meeting together last week between Jennifer, Travis, myself, and Stefan. So I'm going to reach out to him again today, see if we can't put something together for either this week or perhaps next week.
Well, I thought when we had our meeting that there was just there were a couple things that Travis was going to make changes to, and then he seemed Mr. Welch seemed willing to go along with the stuff that we talked about. Now he doesn't want to?
Well, we haven't made any changes to the documents yet.
Oh, okay. Well, because I was assuming that, well, it says the new commercial operators agreement went to him, so.
That was the one that triggered him wanting to have a meeting with us.
Oh, that was 22 April? Seems that's only been a couple weeks ago.
That was the right,
Because I think it seems like it was a month ago.
it was.
Yeah, 19th of April.
And I haven't received any direction on how to amend the document yet.
Okay. All right. So I mean, it doesn't really change anything currently, right?
At the moment, no.
Okay. All right,
All we want to do is give him another cooperative agreement for aircraft storage, but he didn't want to go along with that.
does anybody else have any questions?
I don't.
No? All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to the recycling updates.
Well, I'll sit back.
No. Go ahead.
So the center bathrooms, that were damaged are now complete, had enough warm weather to get that job done. Same with the merchants building, there was some doors that need to be painted and whatnot, those have been done. I had a request in last month, placing some windows, upgrading some lighting to LED. The total on that was $6,800, and the question was, how much money was in the building and grounds
How
fund?
much money is in the building and grounds?
Available,
Yeah,
$229,142.
sounds like you just got that information.
I did yesterday afternoon. So I guess the question is, would everybody like to move forward with that?
And that's put them in the, what building?
It'd go in the merchants building, and the money would be transferred into the 631-265-975-0.068, which is merchants building repair.
I know they need windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a portion, I can't say how much, but a portion of that money for the LED lighting would come back through Efficiency United. There's a company that pays for the Alpena Power. They handle all that. There's rebate money for doing upgrades, so
What doors?
doors.
Didn't you say doors?
We painted the doors.
Oh, I thought you did.
Just waiting on some warmer weather to do that. We got those done.
So will this 6,800, it'll cover the cost of the drinking fountain and the windows?
Drinking fountain, windows, restroom, LED lighting upgrade and replacing. There's about 40 ceiling tiles. We've replaced probably that many. And there's about 40 more that are in one way or shape or form damaged. It just kind of stands out now that a lot of other things have been taken care of, but
And did you, so you're only replacing the LED lights in the bathrooms?
and
So what's the main merchants?
that's already been switched.
Oh, so those
Are just a screw-in bulb. We went to Home Depot and bought LED bulbs.
Oh, okay.
That over.
Don't believe what they say that they last 2,000 hours, because I always mark mine. And I'm like, there's no way. Okay, so would anybody like to make a motion to transfer the $6,800?
I'll make that motion.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Fournier
I'll second the motion.
and support by Commissioner LaHaye to transfer the $6,800 to that line item for upgrades to the merchants building. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
The district court improvements, that project's complete. We do have one small spot where we have an issue with flooring lifting. I have contacted Young's and they'll come back over and fix that for us, but, I'm still waiting on that. The spring lawn cleanup is done. We're actually into our second mowing already. With that, we removed 8 dead pine trees from the fairgrounds, ground stumps out, filled them with topsoil, yet to plant grass. Just stuff I wanted to get done before the campgrounds open, yes.
Speaking of the campgrounds, how is that going? I know,
One camper in as of this
I
morning.
mean, not with the campers, but, well, because today's technically the first day that
It opens.
it opens. With the transition from, Patrick leaving and potentially somebody moving over.
I think it'll be okay. I know I was out there, Colgan out to Long Lake yesterday. Colgan was there to pick up some equipment out of the house. And there's still not a stove or refrigerator. I
No,
know,
not that one. I'm talking fairgrounds. So,
well, it's a transition of one moving out before the other can move in,
so
so
is
Patrick's talking, he's gonna move a lot of stuff,
this weekend?
tomorrow and then this weekend, some stuff tonight yet. So once that's done, the house is cleaned up. I have talked to Nick, he's on a month-to-month lease with where he's living now, so there's no issues. He's ready to go whenever we tell him. Somewhere in that mix, we've got to get him trained on Camp Spot. And that's something that was done after I moved out, so I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah,
But we'll make that happen. I would say within the next week and a half or so, we'll be switched over.
okay.
Is he gonna have time?
Martin's going out to.
So Patrick is going to Long Lake
Yeah.
because the manager at Long Lake resigned.
Yeah.
Quit.
Okay.
So he
He's
said he-
going out there.
yeah, he said he'd be willing to go out there. And then,
Who's coming in? to-
Wes has somebody that works for him that would be.
Nick Akins.
Okay.
Is he gonna have time to
Well,
work for you?
didn't I hear that it's him and his wife, and so
Yes.
the same thing
Oh, he's
as,
got a wife?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, doesn't leave a lot of free time, but I mean, I did it and
I know
he
you.
can do it too. He likes to fish, it might cut into his fishing time, but.
Or he could fish right out the back door.
Back of his house.
So,
So when were you moving the refrigerator at the fairgrounds out to the
we're not,
Long Lake?
we're not,
Because Patrick wants that refrigerator.
well, Patrick can.
He is gonna,
Wants one just like that one.
no.
Yeah.
The pool shutdown is scheduled for June 17th through the 28th. Those dates may change a little bit. I'm gonna be down, short some help, at least one person during that time, so, we'll do the best we can, and I've talked to Kim if we need to go a little bit past the 28th. She does not have classes or anything scheduled right away, so should be okay
What's the
there.
reason for the shutdown? Just to clean up?
Annual, yeah, we drain the pool, scrub the hole inside the pool, grout, replace tile if need be, go completely through the locker rooms. The lights in the pool room themselves, haven't. Occasionally we go through and we replace them all. And we're at that point, it's been 4 years since we did it, and I think we've got 3 of them out now. So we're just gonna go through, replace all of them. Anything that we find.
How's it going so far with the pool?
Well, they need a chlorine tub that they have, apparently is leaking. They want to get one with an agitator in it, which I have my own opinion on, but I think what she sent me all total is about $1,100. And she called me and wanted me to order it. And I asked if there was money available to pay for it. And she sent me a copy of their budget, and it doesn't appear to me that there's money available to do it. They do need a new tank.
What is it for?
So when you buy your chlorine, it's granular form, you mix it in a drum.
Yeah, because I thought she told me something, they're making their own or something like that. They're doing something.
Making their own tub, you mean?
No, chlorine or whatever they're doing. I went to a meeting with them and they said they were doing something special because it was more expensive to do something one way, and I thought it was with the chlorine.
Agitator, it could be. So an agitator will when you buy chlorine, it's an ingredient with the chlorine clings to it.
Yeah,
So when the chlorine dissolves off from it, it settles into the bottom of the tank. An agitator will stir that up and it'll get that last little bit of chlorine loose. But it could also pump residual material into the pool, causing cloudy water or more vacuuming. As long as I've been around the pool, we've never had one. I mean, I started at the pool in 1982 and we've never had one, but I think the idea there is that maybe decrease the cost of chlorine a bit by getting that last little bit use out of it. So I'm not sure where that one's going exactly yet, but something that we're working on, so.
They don't have any money anyway.
Other than that, I think they got a couple spots I know on the deck that when we shut the pool down, we got some tile to replace, so. But I have been monitoring the water usage and I'm not seeing any increase, so I
Oh, that's
don't think
good.
there's any leaks.
Cross fingers.
did you guys use the leak ender 2000 last year?
Yeah, it's a jackhammer and shovels. And I guess the last thing I got is getting the campgrounds ready, and that's just water turned on. We did take in water samples. I got the results back. I think it was on Monday and they're all negative, so we're good to go with all the water, have the documents on file. Just going along now.
So I do have a question.
Okay.
So I know you had a lot of issues with Patrick or had issues with Patrick. So Patrick would do things, plow places that he wasn't supposed to, or do things that the union employees would do. So would you say his name is Nick?
Yeah.
So if Nick is one of the maintenance employees, and then he goes and plows something or does something, how are we gonna know?
Nick, so far, as long as he's been working for the maintenance department, has not plowed any snow.
I don't even know who Nick is.
I don't either.
Nick, I believe, is the last person Nate was the last person we hired.
Well, and I don't know if Nick has a truck or whatever. I guess my question is, how do we differentiate? Because now he is a maintenance employee.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid for you. We're gonna have to figure that out to
Well,
figure,
he's gonna have to sign a job description for the caretaker's position.
yeah.
And
So that'll be,
that's gonna have to be done on his own time, outside of his 8 hours work. I've had that conversation with him already.
so if he's working his 8-hour schedule,
He's gonna be at the courthouse, he may be at the jail, he may be here, between him and Jim Wozniak, they clean this building in the morning. He's gonna continue to do that. He's gonna continue to come in at the same time.
okay,
So what's good about that, I guess, is he's coming in at 6:30 in the morning. So he's out a little bit earlier in the day, so he got time to work on some of that other stuff.
is he someone that does any overtime?
Occasionally,
So then that would, so we gotta make sure that that's separated between, whatever he's doing at the fairgrounds and whatever he's doing over here.
so the caretaker at the fairgrounds does not punch time clock.
No,
So if he's gonna come in and work overtime, he's gonna have to punch in order to get paid for that overtime.
okay,
And he'll have to transfer, if it's at the health department, it'll show up for the health department, or if it's at the pool, it'll show up for the pool, or anything.
So the same rules will go for him
well,
when he has jobs to do for the fairgrounds. He's not gonna be using your tools and everything. He has his,
No, and that's another thing we still have to do is go through the inventory of the tools that we gave Patrick.
and the tractors. He has his own tractor.
speaking of that, do
Oh,
you,
he don't have his own tractor.
now he would use, because Wes let him you'd give them.
Oh, that one tractor.
Yellow one or whatever it is.
And there, yeah,
Is that a John Deere?
Yep.
A yellow one?
Yep.
Really?
an old John Deere.
Before they decided to go green?
I don't know.
So that's for him to move trailers and
Well,
whatever else.
I guess my opinion is they shouldn't be moving trailers because that's the liability of the county if they damage something. I did it, but only reason I did it was because of COVID and no contact and people wanted their stuff out.
So you,
Up until COVID, I didn't. I made everybody back in, get their own stuff out with the exception of the goat and the sheep barn. And that's because of the way the hog barn's built and
Mhm.
how you have to get into the barn. I use the tractor to do that.
You're gonna-
People like Brenda, I wouldn't want her back in their trailer in. They take out half the barn.
hey, gotta do what you gotta do.
Gerald, when he was backing in, he didn't want her watching either. He
Yeah.
wanted me to watch.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me do it.
All right, well, so I just want to make sure and we can figure that out, but.
So
make
we
sure
don't
that-
have any complaints.
Well, that just because of the issues with Patrick and
Right.
potential grievances and, you know, I don't know, again, I don't know, what did you say his name is? Nick?
Nick Akins,
I
yeah.
don't know Nick really to know what he does here, to be able to differentiate. He's out doing something out at the fairgrounds that, again, because he's part of the maintenance, I wouldn't think anybody would be filing agreements if he's
Unless I don't like it.
patching a piece of,
Well, I can tell you when I left to come here, he was out at the fairgrounds running a weed whip. But that's not something that's in the caretaker's job description.
yeah,
So for him to be weed whipping around the fairgrounds, cutting grass maybe all day, and then punch out off the clock and still be doing stuff around the fairgrounds, different stuff around the fairgrounds, it's gonna happen.
I know that, I'm just trying to figure out, because like I said, with Patrick, there was issues where he would do stuff that he wasn't supposed to do and.
And the guys would get upset with him.
And I think,
Get upset with Nick when he's doing something
That he's not
fairgrounds.
supposed to be doing.
I mean, you're gonna know because he's gonna be working for you as a maintenance person and then, you know, technically under you for the fairgrounds.
Right.
So,
yeah, if he has phone calls he needs to return, if he has stuff like that, as far as the camping, this winter storage, he can do that on his lunch hour, or he can do it when he's done with his regular 8-hour shift or the weekends. That's the way I did it. I had it set so if I had a voicemail to the phone, to that phone at the fairgrounds, I got a notification on my cell phone that I knew lunchtime I had a couple phone calls I needed to make.
yeah,
So
okay,
it's doable.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Wait, I had one more question. Well, I was supposed to ask you. The boys club, girls
Oh,
club,
yeah.
that building, are they gonna, do you know what they're gonna do with it?
I have no idea, no. I know there was talk about a split when they sold it and stuff like that, but I haven't heard nothing more about
They
it.
haven't sold it.
Not as far as I know.
Well, basically, they're gonna get the bulk of the
Oh, yeah.
profit on that.
But we haven't heard anything what they're gonna do with it. Should find out what's gonna happen. You can't leave it vacant. They were supposed to, wasn't it in the contract?
What?
That,
Well, the original thing was that if they sold it to somebody that didn't have a kid group, then it would
Right.
come back to the county.
right,
And
and so far they haven't had a kids group in there or nobody.
But now the change was that they can sell it and they get, what is it? 80%,
And it
we
was
get 20%,
Something,
so,
but so far they haven't,
They weren't talking about using that too,
no,
but the old
no,
or the new one.
no.
so something's got to happen.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Yeah, I have Jesse to
And we'll have Jesse do that.
look into it.
Okay, and then, so the last thing we have is, I guess, the recycling reports. Does everyone, did you guys take a look at those? Anything I had on that, which really there's nobody to ask, we'll ask when we go to recycling. I don't even have a question. I just made a couple notes on it, so. Are you able to look at both of those reports?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't seem to have any questions on it.
Yeah. And I guess, like I said, who are we gonna ask here, because I are both on the recycling.
Yeah.
And if we have any questions about the reports, we're gonna go back to recycling and then ask there, so. I would look for a motion to receive and file those recycling.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hay. Support by. Support by Commissioner Fournier. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. I believe that is it. Yep, unless anybody has anything else, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion by Fournier, support by Commissioner Hay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.